This Nintendo 64 magazine cover from the 90s boasts, always first, biggest and best branding. It highlights the classic Nintendo logo and promises news, previews, game guides and reviews for every N64 game, along with controller and memory card coverage. A free Pokémon collector's folder, cards and posters were included, capitalizing on the Pokémon craze. The cover features a Resident Evil 2 preview, promising a review inside, and a list of game reviews, including Turok Rage Wars, Xena Warrior Princess, and others. Pokémon gets further attention with 15 pages of coverage. Donkey Kong 64's first review is also advertised. Finally, South Park. Chef's Love Shack receives a mention, encapsulating the typical busy approach of the era's gaming magazines. This page is a full-page advert from HMV. It's all about making Christmas shopping for N64 games easy. They're pushing a deal where you get a free WWF Vibrapack if you buy any N64 game, which is pretty decent, worth about £7.99 they reckon. They've got a selection of games on display, the usual suspects for the time. Donkey Kong 64 is there, still a big hitter, and they're really trying to sell that one. Marines, which was alright if you were into that sort of sci-fi shooter. Jet Force Gemini, Rare's other offering, bit different, bit quirky, but solid gameplay. South Park, Chef's Love Shack is there too. Bit of a novelty title, you know, South Park was massive back then, probably riding on that wave. Then Turok Rage Wars, more dinosaurs and shooting. Can't go wrong with Turok really for some mindless action. And finally, WrestleMania 2000, for the wrestling fans, must have been popular at the time. It's all part of their Top Dog for Christmas campaign, and they're reminding you that you can buy from over 100 stores nationwide or online. Just your typical Christmas gaming advert really, trying to tempt parents and relatives to splash out on some N64 goodies. This page is a self-promotional piece for a UK Nintendo magazine, boasting its status as the best-selling Nintendo mag. The Team Nintendo is highlighted, making 6 promises per issue: exclusive N64 game scoops, early screenshots, easy readability, effective tips and cheats, reliable writers, and the claim that it's the only worthwhile magazine. The cover art features popular characters like Pikachu and Donkey Kong, along with a free Pokémon collector's folder. Content includes a review of Resident Evil 2, a huge first review of DK64, and Pokémon tips. The magazine also includes a Get in Touch with Us section with contact information for various departments, including general inquiries, news, tips and reviews, plus phone lines for gaming problems and availability issues. This typical approach aims to engage readers and further promote the magazine. Waya. This Nintendo official magazine cover highlights upcoming games. The main focus is Pokémon Snap, promising a guide to the game with tips on capturing Pokémon and locations, starting on page 6. Resident Evil 2 gets attention with a preview of the N64 version, boasting a first look and gruesome screenshots on page 22. Game News showcases a variety of titles, including Perfect Dark, the highly anticipated spiritual successor to GoldenEye, and the South Park game, Chef's Love Shack. Other featured games include European PGA, Mickey's Racing Adventure, Rocket, Robot on Wheels, Toy Story 2, WWF WrestleMania 2000, and Winback. The magazine also teases new games for Game Boy Color and Nintendo 64, promising more details on page 112. This page presents a snapshot of video game reviews and features. Donkey Kong 64, the Christmas 1964 hit, receives top billing with a promise of a full review on page 32. A diverse range of other games are reviewed, including Turok Rage Wars, Worms Armageddon, and NBA Jam 2000, suggesting a mixed bag of quality. A competition, dubbed Blagfest, offers prizes like Star Wars Lego and Rayman 2, with details on page 110. Game guides, especially for Shadow Man, page 92, are also advertised. Pokémon coverage includes tips and scores, with pages 84, 88, and 90 dedicated to them. Finally, the bottom right corner focuses on Game Boy Color titles, such as Pac-Man and Madden NFL 2000, with reviews on page 67. This page is all about Pokémon Snap. Right then, big red title, can't miss it. They're really pushing this snap 'em all angle, ticking off boxes for all Pokémon snapped and Poke secrets uncovered at the top. Ambitious, even for Pokémon. The tagline is a bit cheesy. If you want to shoot Pikachu, it's not that kind of game, thankfully. It's all about photography, yeah? Snappy camera, get it? Oh. Below the headline, there's a box labeled Game Info. Standard stuff, Nintendo are doing it. It's a 3D snap 'em up, which is a fancy way of saying you take photos in 3D, and it's out in March 2000. Can't believe that was so long ago now. Seems like only yesterday we were all trying to get those perfect shots of Pikachu and the gang. Warrington North. The page is plastered with Pokemon, of course. Meowth with its whiskers poking out of a camera lens, Arcanine looking all majestic, Pikachu winking, Porygon looking like it's made of Lego bricks, and good old Snorlax just chilling out as usual. Classic lineup to get you excited for the game, I suppose. It's definitely aimed at the younger crowd with all the bright colors and friendly faces. But who am I kidding? Even us older gamers were secretly looking forward to this one. Bit different from blasting aliens or racing karts, but hey, gotta catch 'em all, even in photos, right? This page carries on with the Pokemon Snap theme, still banging on about this photography game. The headline this time is Snap Happy, and it's in a little box explaining the game. Apparently it's something completely different for the N64. No kidding, it says it's all about playing a young photographer named Todd, who's on Pokemon Island, to take pictures of wild Pokemon. Right, sounds a bit gentler than your usual N64 fare, doesn't it? Pokemon Isle, they're talking about traveling through different areas, from a volcano to a river, to get photos and score points. And apparently if you get enough points you can meet Mew. They always dangle Mew as the ultimate prize, don't they? Did they? There are a couple of screenshots underneath the text. One shows Todd in a little yellow boat. Looks like you're on some sort of river ride taking snaps. The other is a picture of a Bulbasaur, which they reckon is an example of a high-scoring photo. Good for them. Metadata. The rest of the page is just packed with Pokemon artwork. Haunter looking mischievous, Aerodactyl looking a bit grumpy, the legendary birds Moltres and Zapdos are there too, and Charmander, Graveler, and even a bunch of Diglett popping out the ground. It's a busy page. Definitely gets the Pokemon vibe across. It's all colourful and aimed squarely at kids, but yeah, even us older lot were probably a bit curious about this one back then. A chilled out Pokemon game for a change, why not? Professor Oak tasks Todd with photographing Pokemon on Pokemon Island. Todd utilizes the 01, a rail-based safari car that travels across 6 main courses, plus a secret level. The first course is Beach, featuring Scyther, Lapras, Snorlax, Chansey, Meowth, and Kangaskhan. Players must use items like the Pokeflute and Pesteballs to interact with the Pokemon and capture the best photos. Press. Pokemon Snap is a nostalgic game where you photograph Pokemon in their natural habitats. The controls are easy to learn, utilizing the 3D stick for movement and C buttons for quick turns. To take a photo, center the Pokemon in your viewfinder, wait for the beeps and red flashes, and press Air. Use Z to ready the camera. You have 60 shots per film roll. Pikachu appears in many levels, sometimes requiring apples to lure him. Using the Pokeflute prompts his Thundershock attack. Course 2, Tunnel, introduces electric-type Pokemon like Voltorb and Electabuzz, alongside Diglett and Dugtrio. Photographing the pink gas before it transforms into a Haunter yields high points. Throwing an apple at a Voltorb triggers its self-destruct sequence, and Pikachu usually runs away before the explosion. This advertisement hypes up Road Rash 64 for the Nintendo 64. The ad emphasizes the game's combat with a variety of weapons, including axes and flails. The game boasts advanced rider and police AI, suggesting tougher opponents, and promises a vast 200 square mile terrain. New race modes like Deathmatch, Tag and Cop mode are included, along with over 25 bikes and characters. The ad highlights the 4-player split-screen feature, perfect for local multiplayer mayhem. While the screenshots are expectedly blocky, the game aims to deliver mindless fun, especially when playing with friends, offering a different experience than titles like Mario 64. This page is all about Pokemon Snap, specifically the Volcano level, Course 3. Right then, Pokemon Snap, what a laugh that game was. It's giving tips on how to get decent photos for Professor Oak, bless him. They're talking about getting good scores by considering size, pose and technique. Apparently you get more points if the Pokemon is big in the picture, go figure. Pose-wise, they reckon you need more action than just a static Snorlax, fair enough. Technique is about centering your Pikachu. Always a crowd pleaser is Pikachu. Then there's a bit about other Pokemon in the background helping your score, multitasking photo skills there then. And get this, there's a secret to the level. Apparently, if you chuck an apple at a Charmeleon and knock it into the volcano, bit harsh, but alright, it unveils a hidden Charizard. Says it's worth loads of points. That's very 90s, isn't it? They also mention Rapidash at the start of the level, and a huge Kangaskhan and Eevee on the beach course, which is a bit random as this page is about the volcano, but hey, magazine filler, eh? Overall, it's a guide on how to get better Pokemon photos in Snap. Simple as. Good for those wanting to max out their scores, I suppose. Course 4 of Pokemon Snap, the river, introduces water navigation. Players use currents to photograph Pokemon. Tips include using Pesteballs to clear Poliwags, and the dash box for quick Shelders. Photographing Shelders can trigger a cloister appearance. Hidden Poliwags can be lured out of bushes with Pesteballs. Before the final course, Professor Oak requires photos of hidden Pokemon disguised as rocks, vines, or smoke. A flashing red camera indicates a hidden Pokemon. Kingler, rocks, and Pinsir, light, are examples. The Get Involved section details interacting with Pokemon. Apples and Pesteballs can trigger fights, reveal secrets, and open new routes. In the cave level, saving Jigglypuffs from Koffings by hitting the Koffings with apples will cause them to sing. This page details how to take better pictures in Pokemon Snap, focusing on useful items and the cave course, Course 5. It mentions the items Professor Oak gives you as you score points: Pokemon food, apples, Pesteballs, the Pokeflute, and the dash box, explaining what each one does. Apples lure Pokemon, Pesteballs are stink bombs for driving out hidden Pokemon or opening routes, the Pokeflute wakes up sleeping Pokemon, and the dash box makes the Zaruon buggy go faster. The cave level is described as being deep underground and full of poisonous Pokemon like Grimers and Mucks, and also Dittos disguised as Bulbasaur. Apparently you can smack these Bulbasaur Dittos with apples to reveal them, which sounds a bit harsh even for Pokemon. There are sleeping Jinx that need waking with the Pokeflute, and the legendary bird Articuno is also in there, also asleep until you use the flute. It also mentions Zubats flapping about. Standard cave fare really. In the tunnel section of the cave, electric Pokemon are said to get the machines going, and if you use Thundershocks from Zapdos, a bright light reveals a hidden Pinsir near the end, and if you chuck an apple at a rock, it turns into a Chansey being chased by an Eevee. Which sounds like a bit of a bizarre scene, to be honest. It seems like the cave level is packed with secrets and Pokemon interactions. Typical Nintendo really, packing loads into these games. This article reviews Course 6, Valley, in Pokemon Snap. It's a fast-paced level with a river, featuring rock-type Pokemon, Squirtles, Dragonite, and Mankey. Tips are provided for capturing specific Pokemon poses, using items like apples and Pesteballs. The article also discusses Pokemon Snap Station, where players could print stickers of their photos in US stores. Additionally, it details how to find Mew. After completing all courses and photographing hidden Pokemon, you unlock Rainbow Cloud. Here, players must break Mew's force field with Pesteballs and quickly snap a photo. Ebolao. Finally, the review asks if Pokemon Snap is a top N64 game, and whether readers would buy it. The answer is a resounding yes for Pokemaniacs, praising its fun gameplay. This webpage, though not directly about games, evokes a nostalgic 90s vibe. It features brightly colored, retro football boots reminiscent of Italia 90, complete with metal studs. Alongside these, there's an advertisement for a solo card, a payment card, aimed at young people before widespread credit card use. The ad highlights Solo's convenience, emphasizing controlled spending and widespread acceptance in 300,000 shops. This marketing approach seems amusing today, given the prevalence of contactless payments. Ultimately, the page promotes Solo as a sensible purchase, offering a glimpse into pre-digital payment methods. The page's combination of the boots and the card ad creates a feeling of nostalgia, particularly for childhood games in the park. The next page showcases a full-page advert for Pokemon Stadium on the N64. Remember Pokemon Stadium? It was supposed to be the big evolution for Pokemon battles on home consoles. They're really pushing the N64 power angle, saying you can pump your Pokemon with N64 power and watch them come to life. Bit dramatic, but it was impressive at the time seeing your Game Boy Pokemon battling in 3D. The advert features Charizard, naturally, breathing fire, always a crowd pleaser. It mentions it's a Pokemon fighting game, and due for release in spring 2000. Monsters mashed, modes thrashed, leagues won. They're really going for the action-packed angle here. It's a pretty straightforward advert, promising to bring your pocket monsters to life on the big screen. Can't say it was wrong, Pokemon Stadium was pretty popular back then, especially for the multiplayer battles. This page is all about Pokemon Stadium, continuing the hype from the previous page. Right then, Pokemon Power, it shouts at us, and it's pushing the idea that Pokemon are taking over, and now they're on the N64. It talks about downloading your lil Game Boy critters into your N64 to battle in glorious 3D. Glorious 3D, mind you, back then it was pretty decent to be fair. Battle in Glory, the page highlights that in Pokemon Stadium you can battle the computer or your mates in 3D. Plus there are wacky mini-game challenges featuring your favorite Pokemon from the Game Boy games. And get this, even if you didn't have the Game Boy games you could still train and battle creatures. Too good to be true? Nah, cheeky. There are a couple of screenshots. One shows a Kangaskhan kicking about, described as, "All your faves are in here and, boy, do they look cool." The other one is Tentacruel, and they call it a mean Pokemon, with deadly tentacles. There's also a big picture of Blastoise looking a bit moody at the bottom. Overall it's really hammering home the 3D Pokemon battling experience on the N64, trying to get everyone excited for it. Spring 2000 release, they said. Yeah, we were all waiting for this one, weren't we? Taking our Pokemon battles to the big screen in proper 3D, not just on that little green Game Boy screen. Seemed like a big deal at the time, and it was, in fairness. Pokemon Stadium offers 7 ways to play, including modes for beginners, competitive battles, and multiplayer fun. Training mode provides practice, while Leader Castle challenges players against gym leaders. Free battle supports tag team matches, and Minigame Club offers 9 silly minigames. Event Battle allows players to experience their Game Boy Pokemon on the TV, with Game Boy Building enabling proper head-to-head battles. Research Mode lets players import and view their Pokemon in 3D. The game features turn-based battles with attack selection and Pokemon swapping, similar to the Game Boy games. It highlights 3D visuals, trying to build excitement for the experience. Go. This magazine page reviews Pokemon Stadium, calling it a visually enhanced version of the Game Boy games. The article highlights the mini-games, which, while entertaining distractions, are largely considered filler. The review specifically mentions Digging Contest, Pendulum Contest, Boulder Contest, and Hoop the Diglett, critiquing their simplicity. The article also focuses on the game's main selling point, the ability to transfer Pokemon from the Game Boy versions to the TV screen using the transfer pack. While the 3D graphics were novel at the time, the text acknowledges they were blocky. The review emphasizes the appeal of seeing beloved Pokemon like Blastoise and showcasing battles on a larger scale, encouraging players to experience the game's features. This page is all about showing off Pokemon Stadium and its flashy attack moves, picking up from the last page where they were talking about the game itself. They're really pushing the visual side of things, showing off screenshots of attacks like Jengar using Dream Eater, Weezing with String Shot, and Golduck doing Ice Blast. Bit over the top descriptions if you ask me, like prepare to chill for Ice Blast. Yeah, alright mate. There's also sections on Ember, Thundershock and Comet Punch, again just showing off what they look like in 3D on the N64. They make a point of saying the arenas are detailed, which, well, they're alright for the time, bit blocky still, let's be honest. Then there's a bit about Pokemon Party saying it's best to play with mates, each controlling 3 Pokemon, which is fair enough. That's where the fun is, isn't it? They even suggest seeing if Charizard can whip your mate's monster. Bit cheeky. There's a small box about Voltorb, saying people mistake it for a Pokeball, hardly surprising. It looks exactly like one, doesn't it? Krisha. Lastly, there's a Do You Wanna Fight section and a We Think bit, basically saying Stadium is brilliant fun and good for everyone, from hardcore Pokemon fans to new players. Standard magazine hype really, but yeah, Stadium was a laugh back then, especially battling your mates on the big screen. This page is an advert for Destruction Derby 64, right then, so they're pushing this as bigger, faster and meaner than ever before. Which yeah, marketing speak, isn't it? It's all about the crashes and the destruction, hence the name, and they're really going on about how hard you hit the higher you score, but you don't want to be the one getting smashed up. Fair enough. Visually it's all about cars colliding, explosions, that sort of thing, very dramatic. They've got some little screenshots dotted around the page showing off the game modes, like Bomb, Tag and Capture the Flag, which, alright, sounds like a bit of variety. Apparently there's 12 aggression-inducing environments, and 24 realistically modelled vehicles, including ambulances and taxis in a Destruction Derby. Bit random, it also says up to 12 players on the same course, and 4-player multiplayer. Sounds like a bit of a laugh if you've got mates round. Standard N64 party game fodder, really. Not exactly reinventing the wheel, but Destruction Derby was always a bit of mindless fun, wasn't it? This page is all about Resident Evil 2, coming to the N64. Big news at the time, that was. They're really laying it on thick with the horror angle, be afraid, be very afraid, that sort of thing. Calling it the goriest game for the N64, which yeah, it was pretty full on for the time, especially on a Nintendo console. They're promising loads of zombies, puzzles and scares to make you wet your pants. Bit much lads, but you get the idea. There are a couple of screenshots showing Claire blasting zombies and a lovely close-up of a licker. They're banging on about taking control of Raccoon City's zombie killers and being armed because of vicious monsters. And then that little sarcastic comment about the gorgeous licker. Yeah, gorgeous isn't exactly the word I'd use. Still, Resident Evil 2 on the N64, it was a decent port, wasn't it? Must have been a squeeze on those cartridges, but they did a good job getting it over. It was a proper mature game for the console, that's for sure. This page is all about Resident Evil 2, still pushing the boat out for the Nintendo 64 it seems. They've gone for a proper in-your-face close-up of one of those zombie blighters, or maybe a licker again, hard to tell at this angle. Definitely not one for the faint-hearted, is it? They've got a little game info box, just the basics really. Capcom are doing it, it's a 3D survival horror, no surprises there, and they're aiming for a mid-December release. So just in time for Christmas then, if you fancy some festive frights with your turkey. Big game they're calling it, and fair enough, it was a pretty big deal getting Resi 2 onto the N64. This page reviews the N64 version of Resident Evil 2. The game centers on a zombie outbreak in Raccoon City caused by the T-virus. Players must survive and escape before the military intervenes. You can play as either Leon Kennedy, a rookie cop, or Claire Redfield, searching for her brother Chris from the first game. Each character offers a unique experience with different routes and puzzles. The review highlights the game's cinematic approach, beginning with a dramatic opening sequence featuring Leon arriving in Raccoon City and crashing his car. The review emphasizes the game's over-the-top action and gruesome details, promising a treat for horror fans. This guide covers navigating the zombie-infested streets of Resident Evil 2 on the N64. Combat utilizes the trigger to shoot, and the 3D stick for movement. C buttons manage actions like pausing, inventory, weapon selection and the map. The A button handles general actions. The game begins in the city, with the goal of reaching the police station. Expect constant zombie encounters, blast them on sight. Essential items are highlighted. These include Umbrella's connection to the overall goal. You'll need the lighter for puzzles, lockpicks, Claire only, and of course, bullets. Other items mentioned are hidden files, first aid sprays / herbs, mix them, and ink ribbons for saving progress. Resident Evil 2 features friendly characters like Gunsmith Kendo, the helpful officer with a blue card, and Sherry, a key companion in Claire's storyline. The game offers a range of weapons. The handgun and shotgun are early staples, with the latter great for crowd control. The knife provides close-quarters combat, while Claire utilizes the bowgun. For maximum firepower, there's the rocket launcher with various effects. The gameplay includes classic Resident Evil puzzles, primarily centered around statue manipulation within the police station. These involve finding jewels and moving statues to solve environmental challenges, adding a layer of strategy beyond just zombie combat. This article reviews Resident Evil 2, focusing on its key gameplay elements. It highlights the terrifying lickers, skinless creatures that crawl on walls, and typical encounters within the police station. The article stresses the importance of health management, advising players on using herbs and avoiding zombie attacks. It also explains the differing objectives of Leon, chess piece plugs, and Claire, special stones, and the puzzle-solving aspects of the game, such as moving bookcases. Common jump scares, like the lorry scene, and escape mechanics like wiggling the stick to escape zombie bites, are also mentioned. Finally, the article emphasizes the importance of inventory management, specifically saving key items like the bishop plug. The overview covers scares, health, puzzles, and objectives, making it a helpful guide for players of the classic game. This text showcases a late 90s gaming magazine page hyping Resident Evil 2. The page focuses on a line of action figures including Mr. X, William Birkin, with a movable eye, the Licker, packaged with Claire, Leon Kennedy, with a shotgun drawing lever, and a brain-popping zombie cop. The magazine also highlights the game's scariness, comparing it to Shadow Man, and even mentioning the gruesome game over screen. A reader poll asks if Resident Evil 2 is the scariest N64 game. The We Think section praises the game's elements, concluding it has the potential to be the scariest adventure game on the console, highlighting its mind-blowing movies, gory gun battles, and tricky puzzles. It was a solid piece of marketing. Monster Truck Madness 64's ad shouts, "Reach out and crush someone," with a huge Bigfoot image, highlighting its appeal. The game boasts 7 gameplay modes, including circuit racing, rumble, and the bizarre indoor soccer, featuring trucks like Bigfoot, Gravedigger, and even World Championship Wrestling and NWO-themed vehicles. The game promises multiplayer mayhem for up to 4 players. The advertisement emphasizes the game's arcade fun, a stark contrast to the preceding Resident Evil 2 page. Overall, it's a standard ad for a fun, over-the-top N64 title, backed by major gaming brands like Nintendo and Take-Two Interactive. This page is an advert for Rayman 2, The Great Escape, shouting, "His future is in your hands!" Right, bit dramatic for a platform game, isn't it? It calls Rayman a humorous superhero, with coolest moves and fastest actions. Well, he is a bit of a likable chap, Rayman. They're showing off some screenshots, classic 3D platforming stuff, looks alright for the time. Apparently, you'll be sending shock waves through your senses as you run, jump, fly, ride and puzzle through 20 fantastical worlds with more than 40 hours of sheer fun. 40 hours, eh? They always exaggerate a bit, don't they? Amazing new character moves and groundbreaking graphics are promised too. Groundbreaking might be pushing it, but it was a pretty good looking game back then. It says it's available the 29th of October. There's the game box there, Rayman 2, The Great Escape, and the Ubisoft logo of course. PCCD as well, so this is for the computer folks. And at the bottom, there's a little border with Rayman characters marching along. All very colourful and eye-catching, typical 90s game ad really. This page is another advert for Rayman 2, The Great Escape. It's really pushing the boat out, claiming it's the best-looking platform game ever. Bit much, isn't it? It's got Rayman bursting right out at you, all colourful and spiky. They've got the game's title splashed across the page in big gold letters, Rayman 2, The Great Escape. Right at the bottom, there's that little marching line of Rayman characters again, like they're trying to drill it into your head. It's for PC they're pushing here, with a PC Zone logo tucked away. Ubisoft really wanted this Rayman fella to be the next big thing, didn't they? The new game reviews section introduces its scoring system, ranging from real rubbish to amazing game you must play, with an awesome award reserved for games scoring over 90%. This issue features Nintendo 64 reviews, headlined by Donkey Kong 64, which has already received an awesome award and is hyped as the best game of 1999. The review previews other N64 titles, like Turok Rage Wars and Worms Armageddon. The article also mentions games reviewed on the other side of the page, including Road Rash and Rainbow Six, suggesting a diverse range of reviewed titles. Donkey Kong 64's Game Info section reveals a price of £59.99 and a release date of December 3rd, promoting it as Planet Nintendo's biggest game ever. This page continues the Donkey Kong 64 review. It's still pushing that adventure of a lifetime angle, calling it a Christmas treat and all that. They're really hyping it as the big game for Christmas, aren't they? It talks about battling King Kerlak, rule, solving puzzles and loads of platforming action. There are a couple of screenshots dotted about too, one of Cranky Kong's lab and another of King Kernik, rule stroking Claptrap, which is a bit weird if you ask me, but hey, it's rare. They're clearly loving it, calling it a classic title already, and Game of the Year. Bit early to call it that, isn't it? And they're going on about Korok, rule and Claptrap again in the little bullet points at the bottom. Seems like they're really keen on that King Korok, rule chap and his pet croc. This page carries on with the Donkey Kong 64 review, still banging on about it being a massive adventure. It goes into the story a bit more. King K.A. Rule is up to no good again, surprise surprise, and he's got a massive gun on his ship to blow up DK Island. They show a few screenshots of this section, with K.A. Rule looking all menacing, in K.A. Then there's a section on monkey training, which is basically the game's tutorial area. They call it Cranky's Training World. Apparently you learn all sorts of skills there, like barrel throwing and vine swinging, typical Donkey Kong stuff really. Screenshots show Cranky's lab and Donkey Kong swinging around. Typical Donkey Konky. They've got a little bit about the looks of the game, saying the graphics are amazing, which to be fair, they were for the time on the N64, especially with the size of the worlds in DK64. Then they run through some of the goodies to find. Bananas, golden bananas, banana coins and headphones. Standard collectibles for a rare game, color-coded and all that. Apparently you need bananas to get through doors, golden bananas are for each Kong in each world, and banana coins buy stuff from the Kong family shops and headphones give you magical power when you use musical instruments. Standard coded and all that. And yeah, they've stuck another picture of King Cascade. Rule with that Claptrap minion. They really do seem fixated on that pair, don't they? This page carries on the Donkey Kong 64 review, diving deeper into the game's specifics. It starts off by introducing the Kongsters, which are the 5 playable monkeys: Donkey, Diddy, Lanky, Tiny and Chunky Kong. Apparently, each one has their own special moves and colored pickups. Then there's a bit about sounds, saying the music's top-notch, from the intro rap to the tunes throughout, reckons it really brings the game to life. Which is fair enough, Grant Kirkhope did a cracking job on the music. Next up is Gentle Giant, talking about a part where you need to rescue Kara Lumsy, who's described as a friendly Kremling stuck in a cage. You have to find keys in each world to free him. Seems like a typical collectathon task, doesn't it? ASD. Unlock the Way section explains how you get to new levels. There's this bee Lockefeller guarding the portals, and you need to cough up golden bananas to get past him. Standard fare for opening up new areas in these types of games. Enki. Finally, they quickly cover melon crates and nanoballoons. Melon crates are your health refills when you're running low, and nanoballoons are colored balloons that boost your banana stash for scoff. Just item descriptions really, nothing groundbreaking. Donkey Kong 64's review highlights several gameplay elements. Weaponry is acquired from Funky Kong, using banana bunch coins to purchase fruit-based weaponry, used with Z and C buttons. Mega moves feature each Kong's unique attacks, including jump attacks, grenades, swimming, and backflips. The review also praises the minigames, offering platforming variety with races, minecarts, and slides. Strategic use of DK coins in races is emphasized. Finally, the Scoff the Hippo mechanic requires feeding giant banana bunches to advance, acting as a level-end gatekeeper. This page continues the Donkey Kong 64 review and dives into the bosses and returning characters. Right at the top it talks about Truff and Scoff, those greedy gatekeepers you have to feed before you can get to the level boss. Bit of a faff, but part of the DK64 charm. In it, the review mentions having to feed Scoff nanas and then Truff turns the key. Classic rare puzzle solving stuff. Then there's a section called Beat the Bosses, which is pretty self-explanatory. It highlights Armadillo, that fireball chucking armadillo, and Jack in the Box from Frantic Factory, mentioning you gotta wait for him to land on the right colored tile. They call him a tough cookie, which is a bit of an understatement if you didn't know the trick back then. Ral. Finally, there's a bit about a welcome return, highlighting all the familiar faces coming back. Squawks the Parrot and Ingard the Swordfish are back, which is always good to see for us old-school DK fans. They also mention Nasty Carrick, rules minions like Claptraps and Clumps, those annoying green blighters and the fat orange ones, saying to squash the clumps with orange grenades. So yeah, classic Donkey Kong enemies, making a comeback in 3D, what's not to like? All in all, this page is drilling down into the level design and enemy encounters in DK64, painting a picture of what to expect when you get your hands on it. Donkey Kong 64's review highlights its multiplayer features, including Corrington Rules games, with Battle Arena pads offering minigames and battle crowns. The review reminisces about classic Rareware titles like GoldenEye 007, Diddy Kong Racing, and Banjo-Kazooie, suggesting if you enjoy those you'll like DK64. The game boasts fantastic multiplayer options, such as Monkey Smash, and a 4-player deathmatch battle arena. Cranky Kong even provides power-ups in multiplayer. The review concludes by praising the multiplayer as a great laugh, awarding the game a 96% score, and labeling it an N64 classic and potentially Rare's best game. This page is a full-page advert for Worms Armageddon. It's got this rather odd image of a woman holding a fork with worms on it. I suppose they're trying to make it look like some sort of gourmet meal, which for worms, maybe it is? Anyway, it's for Worms Armageddon, and boasts a 91% score from N64 Pro magazine, which was a decent score back then if I recall. The advert text talks about letting worms into your home so you can get fit and healthy, bit of a stretch linking digital worms to fitness, even for the late 90s. It mentions Worms Armageddon and Worms Pinball, adding firepower, energy, exploding sheep, and even pump-action teamplay modes to your gaming diet. Right, nature says it's good for you apparently. It's Worms, it's always been a laugh with mates blowing each other up with bazookas and holy hand grenades. The advert also shows the box art for the game on PlayStation, N64, and Game Boy Color. So you could get your wormy fix on pretty much any format back then. Worms, always a solid party game really. This review hypes up Turok Rage Wars on the N64, calling it a multiplayer explosion of guns and monsters. The game info box details its £39.99 price and November 19th release. The review emphasizes the multiplayer focus, a key feature for console shooters at the time. The text boasts about blast fests and 4-player carnage, with a "we said" section claiming it's shaping up to be the best. Screenshots showcase typical N64 visuals. The review ends with a score of 40, suggesting a positive reception. Overall, the review paints Turok Rage Wars as an exciting, top-tier shooter. This page carries on with the Turok Rage Wars review, doesn't it? Blimey, that dinosaur looks a bit scary even now. They've got a massive picture of one of the nasties from the game, right in your face, jaws wide open. It's got the Turok Rage Wars review title at the top, so you know exactly what you're getting. The text is short and sweet, something about blasting boots and not getting scared. Classic over-the-top stuff for these shooters back then. And right at the bottom, next to the Nintendo magazine logo, there's a score of 41. So it sounds like they are still pretty impressed with this one, even more so than they were on the last page maybe. If the score has gone up a bit, they're really pushing this as the best Turok on the N64. Bold claims as usual, but you know, Turok games were always a bit of a laugh back in the day. This text reviews Turok Rage Wars, focusing on its game modes and characters. The game features a story involving order and a light burden, setting the stage for dinosaur shooting. It highlights the multiplayer aspect, including 2-player co-op and 4-player deathmatches, along with a gauntlet mode for survival. The looks section briefly describes creepy levels and vicious enemies. The Fearless Warriors section details playable characters: Turok, all-around good; Adon, fast but fragile; Raptor, close combat specialist; and Mites, strong and mobile. The review indicates positive impressions, noting the variety of modes and characters. This review of Turok Rage Wars focuses on its weapons and bosses. The game features a variety of incredible blasters, including the plasma rifle, assault rifle, scorpion launcher, freeze gun, boomerang, and emaciator, each with a primary and secondary firing mode. While the sound effects were considered good for the time, the review offers basic tips like learning deathmatch maps. Single-player missions are lengthy, with secrets to discover. Power-ups grant invisibility, health restoration, and invincibility. The boss fights include Bastille, who requires shield destruction, and Tal Set, with laser beams and fiery pits. The review concludes that the game was standard fare for the time, but enjoyable, evoking fond memories. Turok Rage Wars boasts blood-spattering games and deathmatch mayhem modes. Blood-spattering games features playing tag, where players hunt a monkey and become it when tagged, and classic capture the flag. Deathmatch Mayhem is a 4-player fragfest with customizable weapons and strategic tips. The game highlights its over-the-top weaponry, including the returning cerebral bore, which drills into enemies' heads. A new weapon, the Inflator, inflates enemies until they explode. The review gives Turok Rage Wars a 93% score, labeling it action-packed with incredible guns and a must-buy. The game is heavily promoted with an awesome badge. The multiplayer aspects especially sound like a great time. This page is an advert for Michael Owen's World League Soccer 2000, or WLS 2000 as it's snappily called. It's got big bold text proclaiming it the buy of the season, which is a bit of a statement, isn't it? They're really pushing the boat out here. Apparently 64 magazine gave it 91%, saying it's got the best visuals and the best player intelligence of any football game. Total N64 magazine went even higher with 90%, saying the realism is set to break football game barriers. High praise indeed. It boasts about unsurpassed realism, silky smooth gameplay and exceptional graphics. Seems like they're really trying to elevate football games on the N64. Feature-wise, they mention over 200 teams, 20 special moves, arcade-quality graphics, motion capture with Michael Owen himself, and commentary from Peter Brackley. Sounds like they've thrown everything at it. Below are some screenshots of the game in action, looking fairly standard for the time. Blocky polygons and all that, but I suppose back then it was pretty impressive. Michael Owen's mug is plastered all over it, naturally, being the cover star. It's a full-page spread from Silicon Dreams and THQ, so they clearly had a bit of budget to splash on this one. Worms Armageddon for the N64, priced at £39.99, is reviewed. The game focuses on multiplayer battles, a core aspect of the Worms experience. The review highlights the game's classic humor and vast arsenal of weapons, including cluster bombs, grenades, and rocket launchers, emphasizing strategic, turn-based combat. The graphics are described as decent, with the backgrounds being the weakest point. The game offers a wide range of weapons, with more unlocked by completing stages, providing incentive to play. The reviewer suggests it's a potentially addictive title, good for strategic gameplay and silliness with friends, and worth considering for those with the funds. This review of Worms Armageddon highlights its multiplayer focus, emphasizing the fun of battling friends with strategic item use and humorous explosions. The game features loopy locations, like vegetable patches and chemistry labs, adding visual variety. The review praises the comical sound effects and comedy carnage, where deaths are part of the game's dark humor. The reviewer notes the game's potential for long-term enjoyment, comparing its addictiveness to Tetris and Lemmings. Awarding an 83% score, the review recommends it, particularly for those new to the series, and suggests Earthworm Jim for similar gameplay. NBA Jam 2000 for N64 offered a new 5-0-N5 basketball experience, moving away from the series' traditional 3-0-N3. This installment promised all NBA teams and players, delivering the expected over-the-top action and slam dunks. The review praises the 5-0-N5 mode for its realistic drama, and the ability to replay NBA Finals and create custom players. While graphics were decent, the commentary and crowd involvement enhanced the atmosphere. A classic 2-0-N2 mode remained, emphasizing fast-paced, high-scoring play. Unique camera angles added visual flair, and the game offered lasting appeal. Although it might not have fully satisfied purists, the game's exciting action and quick 2-0-N2 matches earned it a respectable 77% rating, making it a fun basketball experience for the time. This advert for Gameplay.com, circa late 90s, promotes N64 games with the tagline, "Give yourself an unfair advantage." The ad features a woman playing with a blue controller, surrounded by game boxes like Hybrid Heaven, WWF Attitude, Tonic Trouble, and Duke Nukem 0 Hour. Gameplay.com promises cheap games, advice from real games players, money-back guarantees, free UK delivery, and a free game with each order. They offered 3 buying methods: website, phone, and interactive TV, revealing the ad's age. They covered multiple platforms, including PlayStation, Dreamcast, and PC CD-ROM. The ad's simple but effective logo is a ladder in a blue circle. Ultimately, it's a typical online game shop advertisement from the era, aiming to attract customers. Earthworm Jim 3D for the N64 is a wacky platform adventure, where players navigate Jim's mind to restore his sanity. The game features challenging platforming, including levels like the Lake of Beans. Instead of marbles, players collect golden udders to progress. The game boasts a cartoonish visual style, with vibrant colors and distinct designs, along with a humorous soundtrack featuring silly sound effects. Expect the usual level of weirdness, including a cowboy baby and funky disco zombies. Released on December 3rd for £44.99, the single-player game supports the Rumble Pack. The review highlights the game's focus on comedy and the overall craziness of the experience, making it a typical N64 platformer aiming for laughs. Earthworm Jim 3D earns an 84% score, praised for its colorful visuals, quirky music, and humor, despite some camera issues. The game offers a variety of levels, featuring classic Jim antics. In Fisherman Bass Hunter gets a 70%, positioning itself as the first proper fishing game on the N64. The review highlights the skill required to catch fish, considering factors like weather and depth. However, it notes the game's limited lifespan. After catching all fish types, the player may lose interest. It's recommended as a rental for those seeking a different experience, but other N64 titles may offer more lasting appeal. Destruction Derby 64, priced at £44.99, was reviewed for the N64. The review hyped the game's maddest and baddest drivers and non-stop crash fest, emphasizing metal crunching and destructive mayhem. The review calls it a smashing good laugh, with a barrel of laughs and high-octane fun. Gameplay involved crashing cars, earning points for medals and new vehicles, including a seemingly indestructible yellow taxi. Cars get increasingly damaged, eventually wrecking. Screenshots depict the expected car crashing action. The graphics were noted as not the best for the console, but enough cool graphics to keep you playing. Overall, it seems to be a fun, albeit possibly visually rough, title for those interested in a bit of mindless destruction. Destruction Derby 64 on the N64 is a fun-filled crash fest, with 12 tracks and battle arenas, offering varied environments like airports and deserts. The tracks feature ramps and ledges, enhancing the chaotic gameplay. The game boasts humorous commentator lines and satisfying metal-crunching sound effects, complemented by energetic music. Multiplayer is highlighted as a key feature, with arenas designed for intense crashes and game modes like Bomb Tag and Capture the Flag. While the single-player championship mode is short, multiplayer provides high replayability. Overall, the game receives an 85% rating, praised for its easy-to-learn fun gameplay, especially in multiplayer. It's described as a real blast of fun, making it a worthwhile experience for fans of destructive racing, even if it's not a visual masterpiece. Road Rash 64 on the N64 offers classic Road Rash action with a focus on brutal combat and high-speed chases. The game features bikers, police pursuits, and multiplayer battles, with a progression system where players earn money for upgraded bikes. While the graphics are basic, the gameplay is praised for its engaging combat and the soundtrack, which enhances the experience. The game offers various ways to win, including punches, kicks, weapons, and crashes. Despite its visual shortcomings, the review gives Road Rash 64 an 81%, suggesting it's a fun and entertaining title, even if not essential to own. The review highlights the fun of knocking opponents out, while mentioning that the multiplayer is jerky. This page is a full-page advert for World Driver Championship on the N64. It's trying to big itself up as the Gran Turismo of the N64 according to Ein64.com, which is a bold claim back then, wasn't it? They are pushing the whole muscle car vibe, saying all the muscle you don't have yet, which is a bit daft really. They're promising wimp-free racing, with loads of cars, like 33 apparently, and a massive 120 tracks all over the world. Sounds like a lot of content for an Ingwinton 64 game. Ooh. Looking at the screenshots, the graphics are alright, typical N64 stuff, a bit blocky but the cars look quite detailed for the time. You can see some of the tracks and the heads-up display during races. It's published by Midway and Boss Game Studios, so you know it's aiming for that arcade-style racing feel. They're really going for it with the marketing talk, saying it's 100% pure beef, even if you're not. Bit much if you ask me, but they had to get people excited somehow, didn't they? It's an only for Nintendo 64 feet game, so they're really trying to position it as a key title for the console. Rainbow Six on the N64, released at a hefty £44.99 in November, is reviewed with mixed feelings. The reviewer acknowledges it as the first anti-terrorist mission-based game on the console, while praising its strategic prep-time gameplay and comparing it to Command & Conquer and GoldenEye. Though not as good, they criticize the grainy graphics and confusing option screens. The review highlights the game's focus on planning, featuring extensive menus for briefing, intel, roster, kit, team, and planning before any action. The sound design, however, receives positive feedback, particularly the cool walkie-talkie chatter and weapon sound effects. Ultimately, the review paints a picture of a decent, albeit menu-heavy, tactical shooter for the N64, emphasizing the need for strategic thinking and map awareness to survive. This N64 review critiques Hot Wheels as a wild and wacky roadrunner, highlighting its arcade-style racing. The game offers over 40 vehicles, 12 courses, and multiplayer sections, cover controls, described as fiddly, track design with hazards, and power-ups like turbos earned through stunts. The review criticizes the game's longevity and the underwhelming multiplayer mode. Hot Wheels receives a 69% rating, labeled as plain average, with nothing to make it stand out. The reviewer recommends renting before buying. Conversely, Rainbow Six gets a 79% score, acknowledged as a challenging strategy game. Overall, the review finds Hot Wheels to be a mediocre experience. Xena, Warrior Princess, Talisman of Fate for N64 is reviewed. The game, released in November, cost £40 and features multiplayer, memory pack, and rumble pack support. The story revolves around the Talisman of Fate and Dahak's evil plot, mirroring the show's Saturday morning cartoon vibe. The reviewer praises the game's visuals and realistic character movement, considering the N64's capabilities. Players can choose from 10 characters, each with unique fighting styles matching their TV counterparts, including Xena, Autolycus, and Caesar. Gameplay utilizes C buttons and the D-pad for attacks, combos, and interactive arenas, with wall running and table jumping. Special moves like Xena's sword skills and Rara's lightning strike are showcased. Overall, the review suggests a solid beat-em-up for fans of the series. This Nintendo 64 game review praises Xena, Warrior Princess for its sound design, particularly the satisfying combat effects. The reviewer highlights the chaotic multiplayer mode, supporting up to 4 players, and the roster mode, which keeps gameplay flowing. The game's depth and the challenging final boss, Despair, are also mentioned. The review culminates in an impressive 89% score, labeling it a high-quality beat-em-up with great character graphics and fast-paced multiplayer. A large advertisement for a WWF music compilation CD/cassette featuring popular wrestlers is also included. 40 Winks, a Nintendo 64 platformer, promised a dreamworld adventure to stop nightmares. Released in late November, it cost £49.99 and featured multiplayer and Rumble Pack support. The reviewer, clearly enthusiastic, compared it favorably to Mario and Banjo, predicting a big success. The story involves Rough or Tumble rescuing Winks from the villainous Nightcap, who stole them and is creating nightmares. Gameplay included transforming into weird and wacky characters and battling freaky creatures in vibrant 3D environments, with a meter-dictating transformations. Graphically impressive, the game benefited from the expansion pack. The reviewer highlighted its cartoon visuals, unique enemy designs, and innovative mechanics like the butt bounce. Overall, the review paints 40 Winks as a highly anticipated and promising platformer. This page is all about introducing the stars of the game, 40 Winks, Rough and Tumble, who are brother and sister. Apparently, despite looking like a couple of right plonkers, they've got special powers to sort out Nightcap's baddies. The review is calling them a deadly duo, which is maybe pushing it a bit, but alright. There's a little breakdown of each character. Rough is described as a cheeky lil chappy, and Tumble's big brother. His weapon of choice? A candle. Apparently he can burn enemies who stray too close. Sounds a bit basic, but who am I to judge? Tumble, the sister, is apparently the baby of the family, but not all sweetness and light. Her weapon is her teddy bear, which they reckon is a mean attack. So, a bit of a bruiser with a teddy, nice. The overall tone is still pretty positive about the game. They seem keen on this brother and sister dynamic and their unusual weapons. It's all part of the quirky charm they were going for with 40 Winks, I suppose. Let's see what else this review has to say. This magazine page reviews 40 Winks, highlighting its gameplay features. Players transform by jumping into Jack-in-the-Boxes, changing into characters with unique skills depending on the level, ranging from prehistoric settings to outer space. The game features a scream attack, rocket racing over graveyards, and collectible items like cogs and moons. The music and sound effects are praised. While young gamers will enjoy hours of gameplay, experienced players may find the game less challenging. The review gives an 88% score, noting the game's visual appeal and music, while acknowledging the lack of challenge for older players. This advertisement promotes the Equalizer cheat cartridge for the Nintendo 64, promising to make cheating easy. Featuring freeze mode and a code generator, it offered classic cheats like infinite lives, health, weapons, and more. The cartridge claimed compatibility with 106 games and 618 cheats. Screenshots show a basic menu system with options for game start, cheat selection, and memory card management. The ad features quotes from magazines giving high scores, suggesting it was worth the money. Priced at £19.99, it boasted being the UK's best-selling N64 cheat cartridge. Contact information for ordering and a website promising game release dates and competitions are also provided. Roadsters on the N64, priced at £39.99, promised a slick sports car racing experience with multiplayer and Rumble Pack support. The review called it a decent racer, nothing groundbreaking. Gameplay features included cruise control and a Roadster trophy to win. The game showcased impressive visuals for the N64 and featured various cars like the Alpha Spider, good handling, Fiat Barchetta, good acceleration, and Renault Spider, light and quick. Players could unlock cars by winning the Roadster trophy, starting in Division 3, and customize paint jobs. The computer drivers were challenging, and the courses looked amazing. Overall, Roadsters was a solid, if not revolutionary, racing game for the N64. This review covers 2 N64 games, Rugrats, Treasure Hunt, and Roadsters. Rugrats Treasure Hunt, a board game adaptation featuring the cartoon characters, is described as cartoon fun for younger players. The review mentions the game's mechanics, like using a rattle to determine movement, and notes the availability of board game scenarios. Despite aiming at younger audiences, the review finds the gameplay very average and unexciting, awarding it a score of 57%. Roadsters, in contrast, receives high praise. Described as having incredible courses and challenging gameplay, Roadsters is recommended for its exciting racing action, especially in 4-player mode. The review highlights specific tracks and gameplay elements. With a score of 88%, Roadsters is deemed one of the best races on the N64. This page is an advert for Gauntlet Legends on the N64, and blimey, doesn't it look like a proper arcade throwback? They're shouting, "Choose your weapon, choose your quest, choose your team very carefully." Sounds a bit dramatic, doesn't it? But back then, Gauntlet was a big deal in the arcades. They're really pushing the nostalgia button here, saying it's the arcade classic, but with all new power-ups and new bosses to defeat. So you get the old dungeon-crawling gameplay, with the warrior, archer, wizard or Valkyrie, each with their unique skills and powers. Standard fantasy fare really. The screenshots show the top-down view gameplay, hordes of monsters, and even a dragon boss. They're making a point that you'll need to team up with mates to defeat the forces of evil, claiming, the more players you team up with, the better your chances. Yeah, Gauntlet was always better with a crowd, wasn't it? It's published by Midway and for the N64, so you knew it was trying to capture that arcade feel at home. Looks like they are really going for that intense, non-stop action, promising non-stop assault is so intense you can't do it alone. Alright, we get it, it's tough. Hopefully it's more interesting than that Rugrats game from the previous page, and closer to the quality of Roadsters, though dungeon crawlers were always a bit of a different beast compared to racers. This Game Boy Color page highlights upcoming games, boasting rigorous testing by Nintendo experts. The previewed titles include Ronaldo v Football and an unknown Brazilian football game, both on page 71. Pac-Man, featured on page 70, is praised as a classic. American sports games like Madden NFL 2000 and NHL 2000, page 70, are also showcased. Other game previews include Gex Deep Cover Gecko, Asteroids, Worms Armageddon, and Battleship, all on page 71. The page features a purple Game Boy Color displaying Ronaldo v Football, described as a top-down football game. The article concludes with standard marketing emphasizing portable gaming, acknowledging the Game Boy Color's appeal for handheld gaming at the time. This page highlights Game Boy Color accessories from the late 90s, marketed as gadgets and gizmos. The featured items aimed to enhance the handheld gaming experience. The Game Boy Organizer by Logic 3 was a carrying case for games and accessories, ideal for portability. The Shock and Rock by Nyko added rumble functionality, promising players to feel every bump, punch and crash, a novelty at the time. Finally, the Game Boy Link cables, also by Nyko, were essential for multiplayer gaming, particularly for titles like Pokemon and Tetris. These accessories, while perhaps unnecessary by today's standards, were must-haves for impressing friends and maximizing the Game Boy Color experience back then. This NUM Recommends section showcases Game Boy Color accessories from the 90s. Notable items include the practical Game Boy Bum Bag and the ahead-of-its-time Game Boy Camera. The battery pack offered extended play, while Light Magic and Super Zoom aimed to enhance visibility. Link cables were crucial for multiplayer gaming, especially for Pokemon trading. An Essentials pack offered a starter kit. The Worm Light enabled secret gaming sessions. The page evokes nostalgia with its accessories and the included game cartridges, Super Mario Bros. Deluxe and Pokemon Special Pikachu Edition, representing a bygone era of handheld gaming. This page is showing off some games that are out now in color for the Game Boy Color. It's highlighting 4 titles they reckon are worth a look. First up is Pac-Man Special Color Edition, because you can't go wrong with a bit of Pac-Man, can you? It's got the original and Pac-Attack bundled together, which is a decent enough package. They're giving it a whopping 90%, calling it a must-have if you even remotely like Pac-Man, which, let's be honest, is most of us. Then there's Madden NFL 2000, it's American football, in case you weren't sure. They're calling it a bruising, bone-crunching gridiron sim. Sounds a bit much, doesn't it? But hey, if you're into that sort of thing, they've given it 83%. Next up is NHL 2000, for the ice hockey fans. Apparently you get to use your skating skills and smash the puck in the net. They reckon the riotous rink action's awesome, and it scores 82%. Lastly, there's Gex Deep Cover. Remember Gex? That gecko fella. This one's a platformer where you're saving Agent Extra. They're calling it an improvement on the first Gex game, an easy platformer, also getting 82%. So there you have it, a little selection of games to keep you busy on your Game Boy Color. They all look pretty standard fare from back then, really. This review covers several Game Boy Color games. Battleship gets a 74% for its strategic gameplay and multiplayer fun. Worms, despite the small screen, scores 76% for its chaotic action. Asteroids, a classic shooter, also earns a 76%. FIFA 2000 disappoints with poor controls, receiving a 75%. However, Ronaldo Vi Football is highly praised, earning a 91% for its realism and playability, making it a must-have for football fans. This page offers a bit of a tongue-in-cheek guide, the Game Boy Color Guide to Seaside. It's all very silly really, suggesting your Game Boy Color is your guide to surviving the seaside, which is apparently a death trap. There's a bit about quicksand, warning you to look out for signs and to obey them, or else it'll be your last game ever. Bit dramatic, isn't it? They've got a picture of some poor bloke sinking in quicksand, still clutching his Game Boy. Then there's another panel showing a massive tentacle monster attacking someone else also engrossed in their handheld on the beach. It's all meant to be a bit of a laugh, highlighting how engrossed people get in their Game Boys, even when maybe they should be paying attention to, not being eaten by monsters or swallowed by the sand. The rest of the page is a typical beach scene. Vendors selling candy floss and cold drinks, people sunbathing, lifeguards, all that jazz. The tagline at the bottom sums it up perfectly. Life's a beach. Unfortunately, the beach is polluted, infested, and hell-bent on killing you. It's a darkly comic take on summer holidays, suggesting your Game Boy Color is the only thing keeping you sane, or maybe driving you to an early grave if you're not careful. No actual games mentioned on this page, just the Game Boy Color itself as the focus of the humor. The next page continues with this rather over-the-top safety guide for Game Boy Color users, still set at the seaside mind you. It's headlined, "Remember, a smart player is a safe player." Which is fair enough, I suppose. There's this rather grim picture of some legs that have clearly come into contact with something nasty, bones showing, and green goo as a warning. They're telling you to avoid anything green and bubbling, which seems like obvious advice even without a Game Boy in hand. Apparently, some concoction called plutochloronatrate is the culprit, eating through flesh. Charming. It's all a bit dramatic again, isn't it? The page also has a graph, showing how your brain alertness apparently plummets the longer you play your Game Boy. They reckon after a bit of continuous play, you'll be 2 turrets short of a sandcastle, which is a roundabout way of saying you'll be a bit daft, I guess. Of course, Nintendo are covering their backs, stating they're not responsible for any accidents whilst playing, because naturally, it's all the Game Boy's fault if you walk into a lamppost. The whole thing is framed as useful guidelines to enjoy literally hundreds of great games, and avoid your mother a visit from a policeman. Bit much, really, for playing Tetris on the beach. They're still pushing the Game Boy Color itself, showing it off in different colors, and ending with Game Boy Color. Feel everything. Everywhere. Bit much for a handheld, even back then. This page is a bit of a strange one, looks like an advert for a magazine called Heat. It's got this bonkers picture of a blender with people's faces swirling around inside it like they're being turned into some kind of celebrity smoothie. The headline is, "Every week Heat gets the juice," and at the bottom it says Heat the Entertainment Magazine. Right then, so it's a celebrity gossip rag by the looks of it. Definitely not Nintendo related, this page. This Total Test section of the magazine reviews the latest Nintendo 64 games and hardware. Guided by Yoshi, the section features reviews of controllers and accessories, along with Gotta Get 'em game recommendations, sales and rental charts, and selections for best platform games and current must-plays. N64 bargains are also highlighted. The magazine details its scoring system, ranging from real rubbish to amazing game. Games scoring 90% or higher earn the Awesome Award. This issue features reviews for major titles like Donkey Kong 64, P32, and Jet Force Gemini, P78, showcasing Rare's popular offerings. This review section assesses various N64 games, guiding readers on their purchases. Gotta get 'em. Games are highlighted before launching into individual reviews. The ratings vary widely, from the abysmal 25% for Clay Fighter 63 1/3 to the impressive 96% for Banjo-Kazooie. Awesome awards go to All-Star Baseball 99 and 2000, Banjo-Kazooie, Diddy Kong Racing and Duke Nukem 0 Hour. Flight sims like Aero Fighters Assault, and racers such as Aero Gauge and Cruisin' USA receive low scores. Meanwhile, games like Blast Corps, Body Harvest, Castlevania 64, and Buck Bumble get decent scores. The reviews touch upon various genres, from sports and platformers to beat-em-ups and shooters, providing a diverse overview of the N64 library and offering insights into each game's strengths and weaknesses. This page reviews various N64 accessories and games. Several Rumble packs are assessed, including the budget-friendly Vibra pack and Jolt pack, the pricier G64 Tremor pack with built-in memory, and the official Nintendo Rumble pack. Other Jolt Pack versions offer advanced features like rechargeable and glow-in-the-dark options. Numerous N64 games are also scored and evaluated. Standouts include GoldenEye, 007, 94%, F-Zero X, 92%, and Fighter's Destiny, 92%. Other highly rated games include F1 World Grand Prix 2 and FIFA 99, both scoring 90%. The reviews highlight each game's genre, strengths, and weaknesses, giving a snapshot of the N64's diverse game library. This page reviews N64 memory packs and games. Memory pack reviews cover the official Nintendo pack, Datal, LMP, Blaze, and Joytech, noting price and storage capacity. The official pack is best of the rest. Datal is expensive but reliable, and Joytech offers good value. Game reviews are diverse, with ISS 98 and Jet Force Gemini earning 93%. Other scores include Lylat Wars, 90%, Mario Golf, 90%, Mario Kart 64, 90%, Madden Football 64, 86%, and many more. Platform games get special mention, with Banjo-Kazooie, Super Mario 64, Donkey Kong 64, Rayman 2, and Mystical Ninja 2 highlighted. Donkey Kong 64 is lauded as a top-tier platformer. This page reviews various N64 steering wheels, offering options like the Formula Race Pro G64 steering wheel and the Top Gear wheel, the latter considered top-tier. It also provides game reviews spanning multiple genres. Mission Impossible and Mystical Ninja scored well. Sports titles like NBA Live 99 and NFL Quarterback Club 98/99 also received high marks, while MK Mythologies and MK Trilogy were heavily criticized. Racing games like Monaco GP and NASCAR 99 are also included. Overall, the reviews cover a wide range of quality, highlighting both classic and less impressive titles to inform potential buyers. Electronics Boutique's N64 Top 10 sales chart from the time revealed the popularity of football games, with Michael Owen's World League Soccer 2000 at number 1. Other top sellers included Rugrats, Mario Golf, Duke Nukem 0 Hour, and GoldenEye. The store offered discounts and featured blurbs for various games, including Olympic Hockey 98, Penny Racers, Premier Manager 64, and Rayman 2. A separate blockbuster rental chart highlighted Micro Machines 64 as the top rental, followed by Turok 2, Star Wars Racer, and Zelda, among others. The article advised renting games with scores between 80 to 89% before buying. Knockout Kings 2000 was specifically recommended for multiplayer rentals. This page reviews N64 controllers, comparing third-party options to the official Nintendo pad. The reviews cover comfort, features, and value. Controllers like the SuperPad 64 and Trilogy 64 offer good value, while others prioritize aesthetics or specific game types. The official controller is unsurprisingly rated the best. Game reviews are also included, with percentage scores assigned. Highlights include the snowboarding title 1080 Degrees, 90%, and Super Mario 64, 92%, praised for their excellent gameplay. Other notable scores are South Park, 74%, Silicon Valley, 82%, and Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, 90%. Superman received a low score, 49%, and is labeled super disappointing. This review covers a diverse selection of N64 games, from puzzle games like Tetrisphere and the new Tetris, to platformers like Tonic Trouble. Racing games such as Top Gear Overdrive, Top Gear Rally, and Wave Race 64 receive high scores. First-person shooters Turok and Turok 2 also get impressive ratings. Other notable titles include snowboarding game Twisted Edge, car combat game Vigilante 8, and wrestling games like WCW vs NWO and WWF Attitude. Zelda, Ocarina of Time is hailed as a masterpiece with a near-perfect score. The review concludes with a section on budget-friendly third-party controllers, offering alternatives to the official Nintendo accessories. This is an advertisement from Gameplay, a mail-order video game retailer from the N64 era. The ad highlights the N64 console and various bundles, including popular games like Mario 64, Zelda, and Turok 2. It also showcases a range of games, from classics like Banjo-Kazooie and Donkey Kong 64 to less-loved titles. Gameplay emphasizes service guarantees, free delivery, and the benefits of buying multiple items. Beyond games, the ad offered accessories like carry cases, rumble packs, memory cards, hint books, and cheat cartridges. Intriguingly, it also included Atari Jaguar items and Game Boy accessories, alongside an order form, painting a vivid picture of the era's gaming market. This catalog page was designed to cater to all N64 needs and desires. This magazine page provides essential cheat codes and tips for N64 games. It features advice for popular titles like Banjo-Kazooie, GoldenEye, Mario Golf, and Star Wars Racer. The issue includes a reader tip service and a section for sharing high scores. Specific game tips are detailed, starting with WWF Attitude, offering guidance on unlocking wrestlers and modes like Big Head Mode and different championship bouts. Star Wars Racer's master cheat is revealed, allowing for autopilot racing with the name R. Tangenta Bacchus. Lastly, Revolt tips focus on unlocking reverse and mirror tracks through time trials. This cheat code page covers 3 games: Duke Nukem, 0 Hour, Shadow Man, and Quake 2, 64. Duke Nukem offers ammo boosts and new modes, requiring specific actions like completing levels with all kills and secrets. Shadow Man provides instant access to cheats at specific in-game locations, such as the Playrooms level for Deadwing and GAD Templo 3 for Bloodshot. Quake 2 has bonus level and infinite ammo codes, but the codes are displayed in a scrambled and difficult-to-read format, typical of the era's attempt at secrecy. This Nintendo magazine page offers cheat codes and tips for various games. It begins with general advice, followed by a debunked rumor for Shadow Man. For Mario Golf, the article suggests using save states and distracting opponents with Yoshi noises. A command and conquer trick involves exploiting a church for credits. Monster Truck Madness gets level passwords. Platform game tips are provided for Super Mario 64, Infinite Lives, and Yoshi's Story, Infinite Yoshis. WCW Revenge features a tip on using opponents' special moves. Mario Party has a strategy for easy money, and Banjo-Kazooie includes a convoluted puzzle leading to a fridge transformation. The page ends with an invitation for readers to call the magazine's team for game assistance. Mation. This page is a proper retro throwback advert for Cheats Unlimited, promising you cheats and tips for over 2,000 games. It's all about getting your mitts on cheat codes for the Nintendo 64, which back in the day was crucial if you were stuck on a game, or just wanted to mess around. They're shouting about it being a simple call to get the cheat, and it's plastered with lists of games, page after page of them it seems, covering pretty much every N64 game worth playing. You've got all the big hitters there: GoldenEye, Mario 64, Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Turok, you name it, they've got it. And it's not just N64. Down at the bottom it mentions PSX, Dreamcast, PC, and even Game Boy Color. Covering all the bases really. They've even got separate phone numbers depending on if you are under or over 16, and it's a premium rate number at 60p a minute, so you'd better hope you got your cheat quickly, or your pocket money would be disappearing fast. It's a snapshot of how we used to get our gaming info back then, before the internet was everywhere. You'd be phoning up services like this or relying on magazines for your cheat codes and tips. A simpler time in some ways, even if it was a bit pricey for a quick cheat. This page is diving into the Your Tips section. Classic stuff from back in the day, where readers would send in their game secrets. Kicking things off is WWF Attitude. Remember that wrestling game? They're showing off character creation, with some jokers suggesting you make Resident Evil Leon and a Resident Evil zombie. Bit of a weird crossover, but funny for the time I suppose. Then there's Star Wars Racer, which was a decent pod racing game on the N64, especially with the expansion pack for better graphics, though it's not exactly for zero, is it? They've got a cheat code for that, something about entering RRT Engine Tobacus, very cryptic, and a tip to let the CPU take over if you can't handle the bends yourself. Cheeky. Mario Golf is in there too, with a heads up about secret characters. Yoshi, Sunny, Wario, Maple and Metal Mario are all unlockable by doing various things in the Get Character and Tournament modes, standard fare for unlocking characters back then. Finally, Mario Kart 64, the evergreen multiplayer king. They're giving a tip on how to get a superstar turbo jump by pressing a between the lights and then quickly tapping SAIR to jump over the other racers at the beginning of the race. Good way to get a head start and annoy your mates, that's for sure. All in all, a pretty standard tips page for the time, helping young players get the edge in their favorite N64 games. This gaming magazine page offers help with various games. Pokemon tips cover locating the Poke Flute, Sylphscope, and HMS, along with battling Team Rocket. GoldenEye 007 advice focuses on the train level. WWF Attitude's training room was removed from the final game. Zelda DX, Link's Awakening. Guidance addresses the ball-throwing enemies in Level 6. Ocarina of Time solutions are provided for Morpher and a Skulltula. New Ways to Play presents reader-submitted game ideas, including a Quake 2 mode and a Star Wars Episode 1 racer jousting game. The page concludes with a call for more submissions. This Your Scores section highlights top times and scores for N64 games. Players competed for bragging rights in several titles, including Star Wars Racer, where Jonathan Wright, David Monroe, and Sang-Moon Lee dominated, and Kiddo Prime Centrum with a time of 3 minutes 36 seconds. Banjo-Kazooie saw Jan-Erik Spanberg from Sweden excel on Freeze Easy Peak and Treasure Trove Cove. Mario Golf offered tips, while Duke Nukem 64 focused on speed in Level 4. Zelda, Ocarina of Time's race saw Mark Smithson's swift run. Lastly, Beetle Adventure Racing's Metro Madness was conquered by Ross Anderson. The page features photos and recognition for top players, celebrating retro gaming achievements. A FIFA N64 Mega Challenge sought expert players for a chance to compete in a London final. Participants played a league as either West Ham or England in any N64 FIFA game, submitting photos or videos of their results to prove their skill. Cheating was strictly forbidden, with a tongue-in-cheek warning from Donkey Kong. Winning strategies emphasized high goal scores and goal difference. Entries closed on November 16, 1999, with the final on November 20. Finalists were randomly selected, and absence from the final meant disqualification. Entrants submitted TV screen photos, no flash, along with personal details to a London address. Prizes included a Nintendo controller pad or Rumble Pack. Winners and scores were featured in a magazine's Hall of Fame. This is a walkthrough for the Marrow Gates level in Shadow Man, Part 1 on the N64, set in Bayou Paradis, Louisiana. The guide, likely from a magazine, emphasizes using voodoo magic to defeat Legion and his evil followers. Key objectives include finding Govis, releasing Dark Souls, and collecting secret voodoo gear. The walkthrough breaks down the level into numbered steps, detailing navigation through swamps, finding specific items, and using various techniques. Players must traverse wooden paths, locate coffin gates to obtain Dark Souls, and utilize the prophecy. Extra equipment is required for progress, typical of the game design. The guide also provides references to previous magazine issues, 82, 83, and 84, for additional content and news. This guide summarizes the Wasteland, Temple of Life level in Shadow Man. The level requires collecting 13 Dark Souls and 3 special items. The walkthrough is divided into sections, starting with a Return Later segment, hinting at backtracking to collect missed items like Govis, achievable after acquiring new gear. The main Temple of Life section details navigating the temple, including platforming challenges, finding items like the baton and teddy bear icon, and using Cadeau to gain extra energy. The final Exit level section guides the player through the last Govi acquisition via switch activation, a wooden path, and rope climbing, before returning to the Asylum Gateway. The level promises a good challenge, with 13 Dark Souls to keep players occupied. This guide focuses on the Asylum Gateway and Cathedral of Pain levels in Shadow Man for the N64. It emphasizes obtaining the Engineer's Key, necessary for Asylum progression, and recommends strafing to avoid enemy attacks. The guide encourages revisiting the Asylum later, with the Marcher and Toucher Gads to collect all Govis, hidden collectibles. Detailed, numbered walkthroughs show how to find Govis in the Asylum Gateway, utilizing bridges, pipes, and specific Gads. The Cathedral of Pain section warns of the area's sinister nature, offering numbered tips for locating Govis, involving cable cars and jumping. Finally, it provides basic combat advice like strafing and weapon combinations, shadowgun and baton, for the late 90s shooter experience. This guide covers the Fire Temple in Shadow Man, an area following the Asylum and Cathedral of Pain. It emphasizes preparation, highlighting 11 Dark Souls, and the need for future revisits due to shadow power limitations. Reaching the temple involves navigating paths, bridges, and platform jumps. The guide details the first trial of Lo, requiring 6 switches to enter the inner temple, broken down into a 10-step walkthrough. It includes tips on shooting blocks, platforming, and dealing with enemies, alongside finding a Govi. Finally, the guide recommends collecting items before entering the temple, like the Govi in the Bloodfall room, and the flambeau behind a level 5 gate. It encourages exploration and backtracking to gather essential items, making it a classic Shadow Man experience. This guide continues from the Fire Temple into the Asylum, Cageways, in Shadow Man. The Fire Temple section focuses on obtaining gads, navigating hazardous environments, and defeating enemies like the Sisters. Players must solve puzzles involving switches, circles, and burning blocks, using the touch-a-gad to manipulate them. Collecting Govis is also a priority. The Asylum introduces combat and exploration, with 9 steps to progress. Players will acquire Dark Souls and the Retractor, battling mental killers. The level design features familiar elements like zombies, fences, boxes and ropes. The guide highlights the Engineer's Key, Teddy Icon, a large door, and a red cable car. A Come Back Later section addresses backtracking after acquiring specific items. This involves revisiting areas to collect missed items, such as the Poignard and Flambeau, and obtaining the remaining Govis through specific actions. This guide focuses on acquiring the Retractor in the N64 game Shadow Man. Players navigate the Asylum, solving puzzles, wall shimmying, and using the Engineer's Key. The guide provides a breakdown of Shadow Power, detailing the increasing Dark Souls needed to level up abilities, from 1 soul at level 1 to 120 at level 10. It also suggests revisiting areas to collect missed Govis for a potential surprise, especially with the Marcher-gads. A checklist ensures players have essential items like Touch-a-gads, Poignard, and the Retractor, while recommending a level 6 Shadow Power with 35 Dark Souls. The next month, teaser hints at exploring Liveside and Asylum playrooms, promising more solutions and scares. This article is part 2 of a guide for WWF Attitude on the N64, aimed at helping players improve their game. The guide, styled as a scrapping school guide, covers various aspects of the game. It promises tips on game modes, wrestler-specific finishers, trademarks, tag team moves, and general strategies. The main focus is on tactical gameplay, advising against simple button mashing. It suggests circling down opponents, dodging attacks, varying attacks, and using ring-outs to gain an advantage. Tips also include strategies for multiplayer, like backing off to recover and running from stronger opponents. The guide aims to elevate players' skills beyond basic gameplay, providing helpful advice for those seeking to improve. This guide section focuses on creating custom wrestlers and offering mode-specific tactics. The Wrestler Creation section provides detailed instructions for crafting wrestlers like the British Bulldog, Sting, and Hulk Hogan, encompassing body types, skin tones, and more. Mode Tactics covers strategy for various match types. In Tag Team, tag out to recover power. For War Mode, let opponents weaken each other before attacking. Gauntlet Mode advises using high-damage moves for quick pins. 1-on-2/3 matches suggest exploiting the opponent's own battles. Finally, Extra Moves reveals tag team finishes and Royal Rumble tips, such as how to eliminate opponents from the ring. This page highlights various WWF Attitude-era wrestlers. Mark Henry, a powerful Olympian, is featured with his Gorilla Press Slam and Death from Above. Mosh of the Headbangers has a butt bump and mosh pit. Stone Cold Steve Austin, a major star, has a vertical body press and the Stone Cold Stunner. Brian Christopher's moves include the front Russian leg sweep and Tennessee Jam. Val Venis's Enziguri and Sharpshooter are mentioned, and X-Pac's Bronco Buster and X-Factor are also showcased. Finally, Billy Gunn, Badass, known for his Ass Kisser and Fame Asser, is included. The page provides information on these wrestlers' signature moves, useful for match planning in a WWF Attitude game. DAO. This guide highlights rule breakers in WWF Attitude for N64. It introduces wrestlers known for bending the rules. Edge, entering dramatically, uses the Dragon Suplex and Downward Spiral. Droz, a nutter, tags with Prince Albert employing the Double Underhook Suplex and New Jersey Naptime. Jeff Jarrett, now without his country singing persona, uses the front Russian leg sweep and figure 4 leg lock. Al Snow, with his dummy head and pepper, uses underhook headbutts and the snowplow. Thrasher of the Headbangers uses the Spinebuster and the Dominator. Finally, Christian, like Edge, is silent but deadly, with the falling reverse DDT and the Impaler. The guide encourages strategic gameplay, even suggesting unorthodox tactics, and invites players to share tips. This page is all about Pokemon on the Game Boy, proper old school stuff. It's got a section called Hard Bits, explaining those bits where you get stuck, which we all did back then. No internet walkthroughs in your pocket. They're running through how to get hidden machines cut, flash, surf, and fly essential for getting about the Kanto region. Remember spending ages trying to figure out where surf was? They give you little hints and screenshots, bless 'em. Then there's the hard bits section itself, tackling specific puzzles like getting through the unknown dungeon, dealing with those thirsty guards, remember needing to get a drink for them, getting to the power plant, and even how to get your hands on a bicycle, which was crucial for getting around a bit faster than your trainer's sluggish pace. Howie. Finally, there's a bit on trading in the traders section. They're reminding you about those in-game trades, like swapping an Abra for a Mr. Mime, Jinx for a Nidoran, and so on. Good tip to have 2 of the Pokemon they want ready, saves you traipsing back and forth. Good old Pokemon, eh? Simple times. This page offers tips for Pokemon Red and Blue on Game Boy Color. It starts with gym leader strategies. Use water/grass against Brock, grass/electric against Misty, ground against Lieutenant, Surge, and fire against Erika. Oak's FAQ advises choosing Bulbasaur, and highlights the importance of trading to evolve Pokemon like Graveler and Kadabra. It also covers the town map, saving frequently, using fossils, and the Sylph Scope. The page then guides players on catching every Pokemon, listing version exclusives like Primeape Red and Pinsir Blue. It provides cryptic hints for finding Eevee, Moltres, and Articuno. Finally, it promotes the Pokemon Master Guide, promising comprehensive solutions and advanced tips to become a Pokemon Pro. This site offers a variety of Nintendo 64 items. The original grey N64 console is available for £59.99, or a transparent one for £74.99, with Star Wars Episode 1 Racer included. Other games like Donkey Kong 64, Super Smash Bros. And Turok are priced around £30 to £40, with occasional bundles and freebies like a WWF WrestleMania 2000 t-shirt. Racing fans can find various N64 wheels, and even a driving seat. Essentials like rumble packs, memory cards, including glow-in-the-dark ones, and various cables are also available. A selection of second-hand games, both UK and US versions, are available, mostly priced at £20 to £30, alongside coloured controllers and manta ray controllers. Extras include stickers, a Game Boy booster, action replay devices, and game guides. Prices are subject to change. Wickedware is advertising Nintendo merchandise, heavily promoting licensed products. Top items include Mario Kart and Diddy Kong motorized action figures for £9.99 each, and Nintendo beanies featuring popular characters like Mario, Yoshi, and Banjo-Kazooie, starting at £7.99. They're also clearing out Pokemon and Donkey Kong beanies with bulk deals. The ad highlights the Game Boy Color at £58.99, with a bundled game, and Pokemon Red/Blue for £76.99. Accessories like power supplies and link cables are available. A large section lists Game Boy games for £21.99 each, including classics like Zelda and Mario Land 2. Watches and keyrings with Nintendo themes are under £10. Finally, the ad includes PlayStation and Dreamcast games and a Dreamcast console, showing an attempt to cover all bases. The ad is typical of late 90s game advertising, offering a wide variety of products and prices to attract customers. This Club Mario Letters section features Dave and Tim answering reader questions. Readers discuss N64 games like Banjo-Kazooie and 1080 Degrees Snowboarding, and a debate over Perfect Dark vs Turok Rage Wars. A reader suggests Pokemon on the Dolphin, GameCube, with Charmander and Horsey. Rayman 2 receives acclaim as Mario's winner, along with a power pack encouraging fan art submissions. A reader named Justin Alii reviews Revolt, praising its track creation and multiplayer, but criticizing early car handling, giving it a generous 91% rating. The section provides a glimpse into gaming opinions and preferences of the time. This page features a Name That Game quiz testing N64 knowledge, with answers like Lupus from Jet Force Gemini, Yoshi from Super Mario 64, and Richter Belmont from Castlevania 64. Following this is a reader chart with Glenn and Matt's top 5 N64 games, highlighting Zelda 64 and GoldenEye as favorites. Reader letters cover various topics, including the lack of Harvest Moon 64 in the UK, Pokemon's popularity, debates over FIFA 99 versus ISS 98, and excitement for Donkey Kong 64. Readers also discuss the Game Boy camera, the upcoming release of NFL Blitz, and the anticipation for Perfect Dark. The page also includes a call for fan submissions for Ultimate Warrior, and some funny character part descriptions. Finally, the answers to the quiz are provided. This article reminisces about the early days of Pokemon Mania, specifically focusing on the official UK Pokemon League, run by Nintendo Official Magazine. Participants were encouraged to submit their top 6 Pokemon, along with personal details and even photos, in a quest to find the best trainer. NOM editor Dave McComb, boasting a Mewtwo, challenged readers to battle him, emphasizing skill over luck. The article also highlights anti-cheating measures, warning against Pokemon cloning. Finally, it features profiles of entrants: Stuart, Abby, Luke, and Sam. Their teams and levels are critiqued, offering a nostalgic glimpse into the popular Pokemon lineups of the time. Sam's team, featuring Mewtwo, was deemed awesome, reflecting the game's early competitive landscape. This Club Mario page features reader contributions and Pokemon-related content. The PokeArt section showcases Charmander drawings, with highlights including drawings by Sam Brooks, Peter Skilton, and Michael Brady. Gotta Collect 'Em All focuses on the Pokemon trading card game, promoted by Wizards of the Coast, and features a Charmander card. The Pokemaniac of the month is Mark from Sunderland, who submitted a Darth Pikachu drawing, selected by Dave. The page concludes with a call for Geodude drawings for the next month's feature, and lists staff credits. This page advertises several competitions with easy-to-win prizes. The Loads a Lego contest offers Star Wars Lego sets, with a question about Anakin's pod racing rival, Sebula. Grapple fans ready, promises WCW Mayhem packs, and asks who was the WCW World Champ, Goldberg. Ray of Light gives away Raymond 2 copies and questions about the space pirate leader, Captain Razorbeard. Finally, Wink Wink offers 40 Winks copies, asking which twin, Rough or Tumble, is the eldest. They're twins. To enter, contestants must send a postcard with their answers, name, address, age, and the competition name to a London address. The page seems particularly appealing to Star Wars and wrestling fans. The next page is a subscription advert for the Nintendo Official Magazine, hard to miss with a massive Pikachu right in the middle of it. It's pushing the direct subscription service, promising you'll save money and get the magazine delivered straight to your door. They're showcasing a few recent magazine covers, including Resident Evil 2, which was a proper jump-scare fest back then, and Donkey Kong 64, rare at their platforming best. There's also Pokemon, obviously a massive hit, and what seems to be Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, which was alright for a movie tie-in. 8 I reckon. They're making the usual claims of being the first for N64 news, having the best reviews and tips, and being the UK's best-selling N64 magazine. Subscription offers are for 12 months at £26.50, saving you £8.90, or 6 months for £13.97, saving £3.73. If you wanted to sign up, there's a form to fill in with your details and payment info. They take most credit cards. The offer was closing in January 2000, mind you, so a bit late to the party now. You had to cut out the form and post it to their address in Leicester. Make sure you quoted the right code when ordering, F1Y for 12 months, or F1B for 6 months. This page is all about South Park, Chef's Love Shack, on the N64. Looks like Acclaim are publishing this one, and it's pegged as a comedy party game coming out in December. They're calling it a quiz show but with a South Park twist, so expect it to be a bit on the crude side, which, let's be honest, is half the point of South Park, isn't it? They're saying the language might not be for the faint of heart, or for kids if their parents are easily offended, which again, sounds about right for South Park. They've got a section called The Funky Chef, where Chef performs his latest hit song, and apparently, he's got some dancers with him. Sounds like a bit of a laugh. There's a screenshot showing some quiz questions, topics like Jimbo's good kill hunting, and potpourri, so it's definitely aiming for that South Park humor. Another screenshot has aliens and some sort of mini-game, where you save your mates from laser beams, so it's not just straight quizzing it seems. Looking at the top of the page, they've listed a bunch of other N64 games they're covering in this issue. There's Rocket, Robot on Wheels, Perfect Dark, proper classic that one, and WrestleMania 2000. For the Game Boy Color, they've got Mario Golf and Mickey's Racing Adventure. Good mix of stuff there, something for everyone really, from shooters to sports, and a bit of cartoon madness. This page is continuing the look at South Park, Chef's Love Shack on the N64. It's got a big image of the 4 lads, Cartman, Stan, Kyle and Kenny, all set up like they're on some sort of quiz show, which fits with the comedy party game description from the previous page. Each of them has a score of 2 on their little screens, so it looks like they are keeping score, proper quiz style. Down at the bottom there's a bit of text saying Cartman is quick on the buzzer but probably gets the answers wrong, which sounds about right for him, the cheeky SO and SO. It reinforces the idea that this game is all about quick reactions, and maybe not so much about actual brainpower. Perfect for a laugh with mates over Christmas, I reckon. South Park, Chef's Love Shack for the N64 offers quick, fun minigames similar to Mario Party, including pie eating, Whack-A-Zombie, Frog Toss, Asses in Space, and Bees at the Picnic. A trivia quiz features buzzing in for answers, betting, and minigames like spinning wheels and avalanche challenges, with quirky questions. Fast news reports, upcoming releases. More Pokemon cards are coming from Topps. Acclaim signed ECW Wrestling for N64 games. Monopoly is also coming to the N64. Midway is developing Stunt Race 3000, a crazier Top Gear game, and Nuclear Strike is heading to the N64. The review concludes that South Park, Chef's Love Shack is surprisingly good and fun, potentially as enjoyable as Mario Party, despite needing more minigames. This page is a full-page advert for Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six on the Nintendo 64, and also PlayStation it seems. It's got that classic late 90s vibe with the gritty soldier in night vision, telling you it's your one shot to save the world. They're really pushing the realism and tactical side of things, talking about spin-it-tingling tactics, and that you'll be shouting "Tango down" in your sleep. Looking at the screenshots you can see the planning screens, and the in-game action, which was pretty intense for its time, especially on the N64. It was a proper thinking man's shooter, not just run and gun like some of the other stuff around at the time. They've got logos for all sorts of companies at the bottom there: Red Storm, Rebellion, Take-Two. A whole collaboration going on to bring this one to our consoles. Rocket Robot on Wheels, coming to the N64 this December, promises a wild and wacky adventure set in a troubled amusement park, Whoopee World. The game centers around Rocket, a robot tasked with stopping a rogue raccoon named Jojo. Players will explore 7 worlds and engage in mini-game madness, like Mouthcatch, Alley Cats, and Tic-Tac-Toe. Rocket's companion, Tinker, aids in unlocking areas. While not aiming to surpass classics like Mario or Banjo, the preview suggests a fun platformer experience that just needs refined controls. This mail-order advertisement from Virtual Reality showcases a selection of Nintendo 64 and Game Boy Color games. The N64 bundles are a highlight, with a package including the console, GoldenEye, Mario Kart, and F1 World Grand Prix for £139.99, or a cheaper option with just GoldenEye and Mario Kart. Other featured N64 titles include Super Smash Bros., DK64, Turok 2, Rage Wars, Armorines, and South Park Rally. For Game Boy Color, the ad focuses on Pokemon, offering red or blue versions individually, or as a bundle. A pick-and-mix section for Game Boy hardware and games in various colors is also available. The ad's ordering process, relying on postal orders, checks, and credit cards, reflects a pre-internet era of game purchasing. WWF WrestleMania 2000 on the Nintendo 64, developed by THQ, promises the full WWF experience. The game boasts familiar features, a roster of WWF superstars, various match types like Royal Rumble and SummerSlam, and a creator wrestler mode. Marketing highlights, special entrances, including Stone Colds, and cinematic intros. The game features the typical N64 graphics of the time. Multiplayer chaos is emphasized, particularly the 3-player mode. Weapon usage is included, as expected. With a release scheduled for November, the game aims to deliver the standard wrestling game experience, hoping to surpass previous titles. This preview of WWF WrestleMania 2000 highlights its fast-paced, simple combat. Controls involve grappling with A and striking with B, with more complex moves promised in a later review. The game features iconic wrestling moves, easy-to-execute mega moves, and uses the same control scheme as WCW/NWO Revenge. Weapon use is included, allowing players to grab items from the crowd, like baseball bats. The weapons are short-lived, requiring strategic use. Character customization is present, letting players alter wrestler appearances. Entrances are also emphasized. The reviewer believes the game may not surpass WWF Attitude visually, but it possesses the gameplay, speed, and characters to satisfy wrestling fans. They predict it will be among the best wrestling games. Warrant. Perfect Dark, the highly anticipated game delayed until April 2000, promised a lot. You play as Joanna Dark, a spy investigating the Datadyne Corporation's involvement with alien races. setting the stage for intergalactic conflict. The game boasts over 22 levels, advanced enemy AI, and a gangster-style gun selection featuring 40 weapons. Players can also unlock an hour-and-a-half of cinematic cutscenes. Multiplayer offers up to 10 computer-controlled characters alongside friends, with commands issued via the D-pad. Classic GoldenEye maps are also included, and the innovative transfer pack allowed players to customize multiplayer characters with their own faces. The anticipation was high, with the developers hoping Perfect Dark would become a classic, despite the long wait. This page is an advert for Kellogg's Pop-Tarts they're giving away. Now that's what I call music threads. Seems you could win thousands of these quads, and even limited edition platinum discs if you answered some questions from the back of a Pop-Tarts pack. It's pitched as easy, which they always say, don't they? Right on, Pop-Tarts and tunes, a match made in 90s heaven, I suppose. This page is all about the Pokemon Master Guide. Right there, need a guide to catch 'em all. Apparently this is it, the ultimate guide to beating Pokemon, it declares in massive letters. Seems a bit much for a game aimed at kids, doesn't it? But hey, Pokemon Red and Blue were massive back then, everyone was hooked. It's from the experts at Nintendo Magazine's Special Collector's Edition #2 no less. They're promising a complete solution, boss-beating tactics, Pokemon facts, and all the catch-em-all tips you could need. It's for both Red and Blue versions helpfully. They reckon it's all you need to be a Pokemon pro. Alright for some. It's even got a yellow starburst saying on sale now, so it's definitely trying to grab your pocket money. £3.50 it was. The best guide apparently. You also get info on all 150 Pokemon, level maps, training hints, best multiplayer tips, and even awesome Poke prizes. Wonder what they were? Probably stickers. Still, for the Pokemon mad kids back then, this would have been gold dust. Pikachu front and center of course, with Ash Ketchum looking eager as ever. Yeah, if you were stuck on Pokemon, this probably looked pretty tempting. The fast news section highlights several upcoming video game developments. Pokemon Red and Blue are still incredibly popular, outselling even PlayStation and PC games. Tony Hawk's skateboarding is potentially coming to the N64, possibly with 4-player support. Bomberman is also returning to the N64, with its signature multiplayer mayhem. Perfect Dark's release date is set for April 1st. Mickey's Racing Adventure, developed by Rare, is coming to the Game Boy Color in December, promising adventure racing similar to Diddy Kong Racing. Nintendo is releasing the N64 in various new colors for Christmas. Finally, The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time won a BAFTA, and Rare was awarded Best UK Developer. The magazine previews 2 N64 games, European, PGA Golf and Winback. European PGA Golf, a realistic golf simulator by Infogrames, is slated for February 2000. It features realistic gameplay, multiple courses, and European golfers, including Sergio Garcia. The preview suggests it appeals to serious golf fans, though it needs polish. Winback is a spy-themed action game, where players assume the role of Agent Jean-Luc Cougar, trying to stop terrorists in a satellite control center. Combining elements of GoldenEye and Mission Impossible, it features easy controls and action shooter gameplay. The article positions it as a straightforward action game, aiming for the GoldenEye audience. Oh. This late 90s prize competition page offers a nostalgic look at the era. The prizes are heavily focused on gaming, with Game Boy Color games, various consoles, PlayStation, N64, Dreamcast, and PC systems. Competitions like Grab a Game and Go 4 Goals offered instant wins for consoles, and games like Toy Story 2 and Actual Soccer. Non-gaming prizes included mobile phones, TVs, South Park merchandise, and WWF wrestling gear. The Prize Buster competition provided a chance to win items like Ghetto Blasters and PCS. Additionally, a premium rate phone line, the Cheat Machine, offered game tips. The contests ended in November 1999 and were all about the pay-to-play of the era, reflecting a bygone time before internet resources. This page previews upcoming games, likely near Christmas 1999. The highlight is Toy Story 2 for the N64, a platformer where Buzz must rescue Woody. It boasts 15 levels and boss battles. Fast News mentions Vigilante 8-2 ND offense, promising car combat mayhem, and rumors of a new Bond game, possibly from EA or Euro.com. NBA in the Zone 2000 is previewed, along with Roswell Conspiracies and Tasmanian Devil Munching Madness for Game Boy Color. Finally, Mario Golf for Game Boy Color is highlighted, featuring character creation and transfer pack connectivity with the N64 version. Overall, it's a diverse mix of genres, with Toy Story 2 as the likely standout. This vintage mail-order advertisement showcases a rivalry between Cyber video games experts and New Age Consoles Limited. Cyber, catering to N64, PlayStation, Dreamcast and PC gamers, highlights cheat codes accessible via premium-rate phone lines, a staple before widespread internet access. They offer mail order for games and consoles, particularly pushing Pokémon merchandise, and featuring classic N64 items like the Universal Adapter and Pikachu virtual pets. New Age Consoles promotes a "just keeps growing" selection of N64 games, both new and used, including UK and import versions of major titles such as Duke Nukem, Zelda, Mario, and GoldenEye. They also offer a free membership and display screenshots of popular games like Smash Bros, Pokémon Snap, and Mario Kart 64. The ad paints a picture of how gamers acquired games in the pre-internet era, mainly through mail order. The next issue of Nintendo Official Magazine, due December 10th, promises to be the biggest and best, as always. It teases coverage of various N64 games, including a preview of Ready 2 Rumble Boxing, which is described as cartoonish. The updated section will feature Hydro Thunder and South Park Rally. Resident Evil 2 is hyped as the console's scariest adventure in the reviewed section, alongside LEGO Racers, which raises questions about its appeal. The magazine's usual promises of comprehensive coverage, helpful tips, and trustworthy content are made, despite the standard magazine tropes. Overall, the issue seems to offer a typical mix of previews and reviews. This page screams late 90s Nintendo, doesn't it? It's all about Super Smash Bros. For the N64, right in your face with a massive picture of Mario's mug. They're promising to reveal all the Nintendo characters in it, which back then was a big deal as it was the first time seeing so many iconic faces battling it out in one game. They're hyping up the wacky battle arenas, wicked power-ups, and of course, the always enticing secret fighters. Every game magazine promised those back then, didn't they? Then there's a bit about the Game Boy Color on the side, mentioning it's got the best new games for your portable pal. Portable gaming was definitely getting a boost at that time. Down at the bottom in the tips section, they're giving a nod to a few of the games. Looks like Jet Force Gemini is getting blown apart, probably some guide on how to beat it, a decent shooter, that Rareware game. Donkey Kong 64 is apparently ripped open for you, so they're likely revealing some secrets for that collectathon, I suppose, if you were into bananas. And of course Pokemon gets a mention, with more Ace Pokemon secrets, because you could never have enough of those, could you? Right at the bottom there's something about special offers Club Mario, probably some mail-in form for Nintendo goodies. Pretty standard magazine fare for the time, really. This Christmas-themed magazine highlights gift ideas. Collectible Street Fighter figures and a Game Boy version are advertised. The magazine also mentions Roadsters and Xena Warrior Princess games, £39.99 each, and Star Wars Episode 1 handheld electronic games. Pokémon gets significant coverage, including the TV show, Pokémon Reversibles toys, and the non-Pokémon Master Guide. Mario Golf on Game Boy Color is praised. Finally, it advertises upcoming Pokémon cards and Diddy Kong racing figures, all available at Wickedware. This page is a big advert for something called Special Reserve, and blimey, it's like walking into a time machine. They're trying to get folks to join their club for £6.99 a year, promising a free gift with it. What are they offering? Well, you could nab a free Rumble pack, a pair of memory cards, or even a inflatable armchair, which sounds proper 90s, doesn't it? They're really pushing the boat out. It's basically a games discount club, promising magazine issues, special offers and a book of cheat codes. Remember those massive books of cheat codes? They've got loads of N64 games on offer, and some proper classics in there like Body Harvest, Gek 64, Jet Force Gemini, Duke Nukem 64, and Turok 2. Mario Golf and Donkey Kong 64 are there too. Seems like they're covering all the bases. Prices look decent for the time, although some of them are a bit cheeky, aren't they? They're also flogging all N64 consoles, peripherals like controllers and memory cards, and even things like racing wheels and rumble vests. Rumble vests? Can you imagine playing Turok 2 with one of those strapped on? Talk about overkill. Yeah. They've also got a section for Game Boy Color games, and even Dreamcast stuff. Although the focus is clearly Nintendo 64. It's a real snapshot of what gaming was like back then, all bundled up in a glossy magazine advert. Seems like they were trying to be the go-to place for games and accessories. This page is a full-page advert for Turok, Rage Wars. Blimey, they are really pushing this one, aren't they? Big dinosaur creature looming over you, all teeth and horns, classic Turok monster design. They've got the game logo splashed across the middle in that sort of metallic, edgy font that was all the rage back then. Rage Wars sounds properly intense, doesn't it? Below that, they've crammed in some tiny screenshots showing off the multiplayer action, I guess, with those split-screen views, very N64. Head-to-head-to-head combat, screams the tagline. They are really selling the multiplayer aspect. Right at the bottom, you've got the Nintendo 64, Game Boy Color and Acclaim logos, letting you know who's behind it all and what you'll need to play it. Yeah, looks like Acclaim were hoping this would be the big Christmas seller that year. It's a proper bombastic advert, very much in the style of the time, lots of explosions and big teeth.